Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 2 of the Culture of Care Summit. It's 20 after the hour, wherever you happen to be. So we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Dr. Elizabeth Tice. My co-chair is Dr. Colin Fair. We are the session chairs for the session today. And we're here for the session Collegiality. Together, everyone achieves more. And I know this group has put a lot of work and effort and have a great presentation ready for us. We would ask you to please put your view in speaker mode so that you can all see the PowerPoint as well as the one person who is talking. So I am going to introduce hosted panel. Dr. Bill Davis is the program chair in the Forbes School of Business and Technology. Kira Hesh is the Associate Director of Learning Support, and Dr. Jessie Upshaw is the Program Chair for the Masters of Arts in Special Education. And with that, I will turn it over to Jessie.
Thank you so much, Liz and Colin, for hosting us today and for the Culture of Care Summit for having us. In just a moment, I'll be introducing you to the true stars of the show, our panelists, and then Bill will set the stage with some shared conceptualization of collegiality. Just before we get into the reason that we're here, our discussion on collegiality in the culture of care. As I introduce you to each of our panelists, I want to emphasize that the formation of this panel itself came out of practices of collegiality. Bill Davis, the great connector, approached many or all of us on the screen who then connected with others to form this panel that represents many departments and connections across the university to bring you this concept of collegiality from all different directions. So without further ado, let me introduce you to that panel. We have with us the Student and Alumni Engagement Specialist, Vanessa Greaves. From Student Advising, Christy Hamilton. From Academic Advising, Laurel Hodery. The Program Chair of the Master of Public Health, Dr. Charles Holmes. Our Director of Student Success, Stephanie Kilby. Outreach Librarian to the Forbes School of Business, Karen Menti. The Program Chair of the Bachelor of Arts in Health and Human Services, Dr. Kara Metz. Academic Outreach Specialist and Associate Faculty, Dr. Michael Robinson. And we wanted to give honor to our Assistant Dean and Professor from the Forbes School of Business and Technology, Dr. Katie Theory, who was unable to make it this morning, but definitely want to honor all the time that she put into preparation and collaboration in this session. So with that, I want to pass it over to the one and only Bill Davis to kind of set the stage for us on collegiality. Bill, over to you.
Yes, thank you very much, Jessie and Kira, for all of your work as co-chairs. And you know, throughout my career, I've always believed in the power of teams. Had an acronym for that in my prior career. Together, everybody achieves more. Of course, we've all heard that many times. And also, you know, one of the other team acronyms that I embraced is be tolerant of each other. We're all different, right? Different skill sets, backgrounds, etc. Encourage each other, acknowledge each other, and be mindful that we need each other. So it's with that theme that we brought this together, because one thing that I just absolutely love that energizes me here at the University of Arizona Global Campus is working across departments. Everybody in this room here, including our host, they energize me. So I'm always eager to look for an interaction to further student success, to drive some momentum, to get us all teaming up so that good outcomes and results happen. So with that said, let me just give you a little background conceptually on what, you know, collegiality is. Obviously, together everybody achieves more, and we are exploring here, what is collegiality? Why is it important in helping shape the organizational culture and improving DEI? How does collegiality create healthy and productive relationships within a culture? Also, there are questions we will explore with our panel and provide meaningful examples of collegiality within UAGC. We're going to bring it to life for you. And again, when you think about that, think about these key words: collaboration, cooperation, positive relationships, different departments within academic, working across academic colleges. You know, and according to Dr. Gary Packard, he says in one of his articles here that successful DEI work, like successful counseling and leadership, it depends on one's ability, I really like this, to create healthy, productive relationships while accounting for the social context. So that is good. And some of the things we're going to explore here, you'll hear some examples of interdisciplinary projects. For example, this one that we got together on joint research initiatives. I had the pleasure and opportunity to, for example, recently myself to team up with Kim Cowan and Dr. Stephanie Stubbs on a project where we did a chapter in a book that Dr. Kara Metz had put out. Resource sharing. We're always sharing resources. For example, the library, I was talking to Kira yesterday. We were sharing information, a great presentation they did, her and Karen. Cross-departmental committees, working groups. This was a working group. Interdepartmental events and seminars, supporting each other, right? Interdepartmental mentoring and support. I love mentoring and coaching. So you're going to see some of that. Next slide, please. Now, again, keep in mind, just want to reinforce this. It's an active learning method, repetition, collaboration, cooperation, positive relationships, different departments within the different departments and academic colleges. Okay, something to remember. I love the CARE acronym, how we embrace that and what that stands for. But use that across departments, across colleges. Together, everybody achieves more. And I think we discovered that here. Next slide, please. Now, we have a diverse panel, and everyone has different skills, experiences, and backgrounds, different lenses, how they see the world. You know, we do find common ground very quickly. And you're going to see all that come together to add value in these discussions. And believe me, we have some extremely talented educators here, scholars. You're going to see some great things come to life. So remember, when you think about diversity, think about all the many benefits there are when we embrace diversity. Diversity is not only about gender, race, age. It includes our diverse work backgrounds, career skills, and life experiences. And one of the things I like to say about this particular panel, it covers all four areas of the culture of care: students and learning, teams, collaborating, supporting with care, leading with care. And this is going out to a universal audience. So next slide, please. Now, again, one key in leading, you want to think about modeling consistency, right? Because obviously the first way we establish credibility across departments with people is through our words. And then it's our actions. So we want to talk the walk and walk the talk and realize that people are watching more how we walk it than we talk it. And everyone in this room, believe me, does walk the talk. They practice what they do. They believe in that. They're dedicated and committed. And that's why I mean, there's so many of my colleagues here that do similar things. It's just that as I looked at some people recently in my circles who I'm working with, and I just asked these particular folks, because otherwise we'd fill up the whole screen. That's what's about what UAGC is all about, is embracing each other and growing together. So one thing I want you to keep in mind before I turn it over to Kira is remember why we're here. Next slide, please. And boy, I'll tell you, I embrace this vision. I know we all do. Very passionate about it. You can feel it's real, my sense of energy and purpose. You know, we strive to empower, support, and enrich and graduate every student. That's right up at the top of my screen here. I've got a little card that I look at, and I remind myself of that all the time. What's my purpose? But the one thing that I know is the UAGC students are the most important people on the campus, and without them, there would be no need for this institution. So we all have a purpose. So with that said, it's my great pleasure to turn it over to Kira. Go ahead, Kira. You've got the floor.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Bill. That was a wonderful setting of the stage. I really appreciate you setting us all up that way. So I'm going to be taking the first question with a group of the panelists. And the question is going to be, describe an example of interdepartmental collegiality you have been involved with and some specific ways that collegiality exemplifies our culture of care pillars. And we have put them up here to remind you what the CARES acronym stands for. By now, you probably are pretty familiar with it, but I just want to make sure that we are all grounded in the same understanding of what CARES is. So we'll go ahead and take down the deck for a moment so that we can share. I would like to ask Charles actually to start us off. Charles, can you describe an example or examples of interdepartmental collegiality you've been involved with and some specific ways that collegiality exemplifies the culture of care pillars?
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. Like many mentioned, we were kind of interconnected through Bill. He's sort of like the hub on a wheel, if you want to think of us as the spokes. And I connected with Bill actually via Chicago baseball prior to connecting on anything academic. And then it just came about that my department was hiring some associate faculty. And it came to mind that it would really benefit us to have a different perspective. Public health is, if you're familiar with colors, I think we're mostly green people. And it helps to have, a different perspective on that. And that's what I was looking for. And I knew Bill would provide that. He has an immense amount of experience with PepsiCo, and he was able to, with his demeanor, able to disarm people, because when you go into an interview, sometimes you're a little bit tense, and just having that smiling face. I try to smile, but it's not as easy as Bill's. We'll say that. And so it definitely improved our ability to communicate and respect. Tying it into those pillars of the culture of care. And then I had the opportunity to actually help Bill. His sports management program was doing some hiring with associate faculty, and I was able to repay that favor and bring him a different perspective. So that was really worthwhile. Here at UAGC, I serve as the chair of the Institutional Review Board as well. So all faculty and student research actually comes through my office, and then I get the benefit of doing secondary reviews on the majority of them. So that gives me the opportunity to not only advocate for students and faculty to explore, the rich world of academia and their disciplines, but to also empower them to kind of push the envelope a little bit in areas where, they maybe feel like they're being contained by the classroom or something along those lines. And through the committee, we can say, hey, have you thought about expanding it into this area? Have you thought about expanding it into that area? And that committee, the IRB committee, is composed of individuals from Forbes, CAS, and I don't think we have any reduction, or even we have people from every different department as well. So it's just one of the most diverse panels that we have. And I've also been very fortunate to work with the Promotion Advisory Committee with Dr. William Woods. And that is an extremely diverse panel as well. And that also speaks very highly to advocacy and empowerment for faculty, with the idea that we're trying to give everyone a voice. And if they want to improve their space, their position, their title, whatever the reason is, we work with them. We try to help them with that. So those are kind of my experiences with it. But to close my kind of question out, I guess I would say you often hear the two heads are better than one. In the introduction, Bill mentioned diversity. Absolutely, two backgrounds are better than one. The more viewpoints, the different life experiences we come into situations with, it's all very, very beneficial.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time on that, Charles. And I agree with you so much. A lot of times these connections formed not really from work stuff first. You kind of connect on a personal level, and then you could find ways to work with each other. And so I love the examples that you provided of how Bill brought you in, but I also love the cross-departmental committees and the IRB and how many diverse voices that you are involved with. And it's so important. So thank you for that. Really appreciate it. All right, Christy, you've also had a lot of experience with working with a lot of different faculty and collaborating with them. Can you describe that a little bit, and also how it represents the culture of care pillars?
Absolutely. I would be honored to share my experiences here at the University of Arizona Global Campus. I'm actually a student advising manager here, and I'm constantly connecting and collaborating with other departments, including faculty, our assistant deans, and our program chairs. So an example that I would love to share with everyone today is, I believe it was last summer, I had actually reached out to Bill Davis, the program chair for the Department of Organizational Studies, to get support on a student situation. We were needing a policy exception request based on a student need. So as soon as I reached out to Bill, I think it was within 15 minutes, he was quick to reply that exact same day. And through his incredible customer service skills and his passion that I can see for supporting students, we were able to actually move things forward that same day for the student, which was exceptional. It was such a great internal experience that I had with him, and I just knew that I wanted to get to know him more and collaborate further. I could also see his passion for student success, and we both shared that passion for being very, very student-centered, which was incredible to experience. Our values and goals aligned with UAGC's 5 pillars of culture of care. So really what we decided to do is we joined forces to promote cross-departmental collaboration, teamwork, and even unity in order to keep students persisting from start to finish. We actually worked together and came up with a slogan called "One Team Better Together." So we've actually been promoting that motto within the university for almost the past year now. And I can say with 100% confidence that we certainly are one team and we are better together. Additionally, assistant deans and program chairs from our various programs in departments here at the university, they've actually been joining some of our academic advising team meetings once per month to really educate us more on program outcomes, how they can support advisors, and then that way advisors can even more effectively support our students. So this collaboration, it's really empowered our student services department and our faculty to really bridge those gaps, foster open communication and collaboration, and then also ultimately the end goal is build those relationships to maximize our student success and to really keep students moving forward from start to finish.
Christy, that's wonderful. And I love how your collaboration with faculty has created better outcomes for students. And one of the things that stood out to me in what you're saying is how when you have a shared passion for student success, when you all are rowing the same boat in the same direction for the same purpose and putting the students first and having that student center, that really does bring people together and ignites passion, and it really inspires each other to keep going, and you achieve more when you have that shared passion together. So that's wonderful, and I'm so glad to hear about all these examples of ways that you've been continuing to collaborate with faculty and to get better outcomes for students. So thank you for that, Christy. That's great.
Absolutely.
Vanessa, I know that you are very familiar also with cross-departmental partnerships and how those lead to better outcomes as well. Can you describe an example of that collaboration and also how that exemplifies the culture of care pillars?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for the question, and thanks for having me on this panel. Again, my name is Vanessa Greaves, and as the Student and Alumni Engagement Specialist here, I've had the opportunity to participate in several collaborations, and one significant example that is my partnership with the Career Services Department. And so together we engage in various events such as career fairs, virtual and in-person employee information sessions, and alumni career panels. Additionally, we share resources with our student and alumni community. This includes resume tips, the Career Services quarterly newsletter, employer highlights, and we also utilize platforms together to help with networking, professional development, and employment opportunities, such as Handshake and UAGC Connect. So this collaboration reflects our commitment to inclusivity and support. And by joining forces together, we ensure that students and alumni receive the assistance in their professional development journey. Our partnership allows us to offer a diverse range of resources and events tailored to meet the varied needs of our diverse community, showcasing our dedication to individual preferences and aspirations. Also, working with Career Services, it helps us stay aligned with emerging trends in the job market. And by aligning our efforts, we demonstrate our commitment to providing relevant and impactful programs and resources that empower our students and alumni to thrive in today's dynamic workforce. And also, in addition to Career Services, my collaboration with faculty members further enhances our culture of care. Together with faculty, we support clubs, university clubs and communities, And we organize events, we provide resources, and we implement strategies to increase student and alumni engagement outside of the classroom. And so by leveraging faculty expertise, we enrich the educational experience of our community and foster that sense of belonging and connection. In fostering that culture of care within my team across the university, collaboration and that sense of community is important. It's more than completing tasks. It's about creating an environment together where everyone feels supported and valued. And so through these collaborations, we integrate academic content with real-world experiences, which offers immersive learning opportunities that empower students to achieve their best. So by working together across these departments, we create a cohesive and nurturing environment where every member of the UAGC community can thrive and succeed. Thank you.
I love it. That's just so inspiring, Vanessa. I just love what you're saying, and that collaboration really does. All of your collaborations, working with career services and sharing those resources and platforms, and your faculty collaborations for the clubs and many other places. It's just been wonderful to be able to work with you as well and be able to see some of those firsthand. So thank you for that, Vanessa. I really appreciate your time. And Karen, I know firsthand, because not just because you're on my team, but I know firsthand, and I've seen it, how many different positive collaborations you've had across the organization over the years, and some of those benefits I've been able to see as well. Can you describe some of those collaborations you've had, and also some of the benefits? Could you describe some of the benefits that you've seen from your cross-departmental collaborations?
Oh, I would love to. Thank you, Kara. My name is Karen Menti. Yes, I am very lucky in my dual roles that I play on the learning support team. I'm the outreach librarian for UAGC, so it's up to me to try and get word out both to faculty and staff and students about the services that we provide in the library, writing center, and with subject tutoring. And I also, my role is the library liaison to the Forbes School of Business and Technology. So I get to work closely with faculty just to enhance, the course development process. One of the projects that I wanted to talk about has to do with that. And, one of our institutional goals to reduce the cost for students. Of course, we know financial barriers are they are hugely impactful to our students, especially where retention and course completion is involved. So we've partnered with Learning Resources, the library and learning resources, on this library OER textbook project. And we work closely with faculty to see which courses we can actually provide either a library textbook, or maybe purchase a textbook for the library, or find, suitable OER replacements, and therefore offsetting the cost to our students. And it's been amazing to see the impact. We've already saved students over $95,000 in textbook fees through this initiative. So that's been amazing, just to see the power of us working together to have a real impact on our students' lives. And the other project that I'm excited about and I love talking about, I could go on and on, but artificial intelligence is such an exciting topic. It's also very rife with questions and problems, ethical concerns. And so this is one that's been really fun and interesting to approach from a collegial standpoint. In the library and the writing center, we've been developing our own resources on artificial intelligence, but again, we're so much better together, and we all have different perspectives to bring to this, revolutionary technology. And I just feel like UAGC, we're really primed to be leaders in this space in online learning. So that's been wonderful. We've partnered with Academic Integrity and Michael Robinson's team. Elena Pascarella's been huge. Kim Cowan also have helped just frame these ideas around artificial intelligence for us from a different perspective. And I think the benefits of that, we can't learn in a vacuum, either as educators, our students can't learn in a vacuum. Approaching these things holistically to see all the possible ways we can have an impact is really beneficial. And for me, just being part of a team that is so encouraging. I feel like you can't underemphasize how important encouragement is with your colleagues to be on a team that inspires bravery and optimism, and it's okay to fail and ask questions and be vulnerable. That's just been huge for growth for me and for my team, and I just feel like for UAGC as a whole. Thank you.
Karen, now it looks like I paid you to say that just because you're on my team. Thank you so much. I love you too. Well, thank you so much for that. And I agree with obviously everything that you said. It's so important that we don't just look at what we're doing within our team, but also look outside of it, grab the expertise from around UAGC and pull people in that are important to the conversation to be able to further our goals, to help these students succeed and get to the finish line and graduate and have the skills they need to for their careers going on. So much of the work that you're doing is directly involved with that. So I really appreciate everything you do every day. So thank you for that. Michael, Karen mentioned the collaboration that you've had with her about academic integrity and also all of the AI work that we've been doing. And I just wanted to know if you could talk a little bit more about some of the other partnerships you've had and your partnerships with faculty as well, and describe how that collegiality exemplifies those culture of care pillars. That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Kira. Yeah, I am extremely honored to be a part of this. Relationships are my jam. Basically, I've worked my whole life at building positive relationships with folks, students particularly, but I feel like relationships with colleagues matter just as much. I am an alumni of UAGC, and I completed my dissertation on educator wellness, and I found that collegial relationships are a huge part of that. It's really important for all of us to share laughs, smiles, memes, jokes, share experiences with each other, and really just it trickles down to the students. It makes us all feel better about what we're doing and how we're doing it. So not a lot of people know this, but I'm actually a former advisor too. So I worked in advising for years, and I always, built teams together of just sharing memes and laughs with that. And, when I get into academic integrity, basically academic outreach specialist is a fancy word for APA nerd. I'm just an APA nerd. We're all APA nerds in academic integrity. And people think of it as, well, that's the plagiarism police or whatever. It's really about working with faculty members and building that relationship so that we can create the best learning opportunities for the students. It's not about coming down hard on students or, I'm a detective, I'm gonna investigate this. Yeah, I investigate, but it's really about building relationships with faculty support as we all know, UAGC is almost 90% associate faculty. So a lot of these folks have full-time jobs, they have stuff going on, and it makes it easier when you have a friendly personality there saying, hey, look, you don't have to do this legwork. I'm an APA nerd. I got your back. We're going to help you out, and we're going to figure out the best way to attack this and help out the student in the long run. And going off what Karen mentioned, we work with the Library and Writing Center staff. All of you guys are amazing. We create the best possible resources and supports for the students. And we wouldn't be able to do that if we didn't have the rapport that we have together, right? So I can't think of a single area of UAGC that I don't collaborate with. I think it's important to just collaborate with everybody. And, like Michelle said in the opening session, it takes a village to raise a culture of care. And, we all need to unwind, to laugh, to not talk about work sometimes. And, I do that with a lot of folks too. We'll schedule weekly one-on-ones to just talk about life or baseball. Or again, that's how I got into this panel, as Bill and I started talking about baseball and sharing memes and laughs years ago. And here we are today, we're all talking about it. So just knowing that we're all working toward the same goal and communicating with respect, kindness, and smiling and laughing and empathizing, it just makes it easier to achieve goals when we're all in this together.
Michael, you give me goosebumps. It's just so wonderful to hear you talk about this stuff. And I want to tell you, please go back and look at the chat, because what was happening in the chat is exactly your vibe, and just the comedy that's going on, and just how many people are inspired by your humor and connected with and feel connected to you and the work that you're doing. It's just wonderful. So thank you for all of that, Michael, and I appreciate your time. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Jesse for question number 2.
Wow, thank you all so much for that insight in our first perspective. And now we're going to shift over to what advice can you give about becoming more involved in interdepartmental collegiality efforts? So we're going to pass this over. I'm going to remove the screen again just so that we can focus on faces here. And I'm going to direct this question first to Dr. Metz. Kara, if you can tell us from your perspective, what advice can you give about becoming more involved in interdepartmental collegiality efforts?
Thank you. This is a great question. And so I would first like to frame this question by telling you a little bit about my own personality. I am an introvert. I am fairly shy and I'm pretty timid. So putting myself out there is hard. And so if someone in this room also feels that way, please note that this is not something that can limit the intercollegiality. So some things that I do, and I do them pretty naturally. One is I wear my passion on my sleeve. If you talk to me and I get excited about something that you're talking about, oh my goodness, I probably won't stop. You might say, please stop sharing. But when I get excited about my passions, I talk about them. And through that, I've been able to find people who have shared passions. I've also been able to be asked to be a part of certain things that, again, I've been able to share my passions with others, get people involved. So that's kind of my number one thing with becoming more involved with interdepartment collegiality, is just sharing your passions and finding people who have those same passions or are looking for an opportunity to learn more about yours. And that's going to help you build relationships. I have found that this work environment at UAGC has been very healthy, right? There's not competition. Everybody wants to work together for the betterment of the community. And so not being able to lean into some of those relationships, I think that is really important. And when you're in those relationships, make sure that you're actively listening. I see Jessie nodding her head, and I'm a big head nodder also. My husband was like, we met with the school counselors when my daughter started in middle school, and I'm just shaking my head, and he's like, "You're embarrassing me." I was like, "Oh, these are my people, though. I feel exactly what they're saying." But I feel like that helps people stay engaged and know that you're understanding and empathizing with what they're saying, even if they don't have the same opinion. It's always really nice to learn other perspectives. Another part of becoming more involved in interdepartment collegiality would be learning to open yourself up to new understandings and new opportunities. Another thing that I think of is also not being afraid to be part of an effort, even if you aren't in a certain group. So a great thing about our university is we have a lot of different committees. Some committees are open to all faculty and staff, and this is a great way to share your passions, meet new people. There are other opportunities where people are a part of a committee. And generally, it's not that they're there to be an expert, they're there to be a representative. And so they love hearing from other people about what their wants and desires are, what great ideas they have to help improve the university as a whole. So you might not be directly involved in a committee, but they want to hear from you. They want to hear your ideas. And so don't be afraid to share those ideas. One thing that I've done is and I don't suggest this, I have a hard time saying no. I love learning new things and taking a part in new opportunities. So I say yes to so many things. And that helps me as a shy person to kind of break out of my shell and get comfortable with people. And so don't be afraid to step into an opportunity when it's presented. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you for being the voice to the introverts in the room and open to everyone who doesn't identify as an introvert. Some really great insights there of how to get involved and conquer perhaps fears or hesitations. I appreciate you sharing those pieces of advice and all of that. We're going to shift it over to you, Laurel, and see from your perspective, what advice would you give about intercollegiality efforts here at UAGC and beyond?
Well, thank you, Dr. Upshaw. And I just have to say, I am giddy to be here, and it's very, very fun to see everybody's faces and talk to each other, as opposed to just email and other ways we also communicate. And I love the notion of shared passion and how that is a common ground for all of us. I'll come back to that, but I want to say I'm on the weekend advising team, which means I'm talking to students Saturday through Tuesday, which is a little unique. And in its own way can I joined that position during COVID, and there's a sort of siloing effect that happened for me. And maybe Kara, also I share with you a strange little shyness myself. And so I feel like through an incident with a student, Dr. Bill Davis really pulled me out from underneath a rock, where I was sort of hiding in my little silo, if you will. And I'm going to use the term shed the silo along with One Team Better Together, because there was a lot of fear and anxiety in me that I didn't even know was there about reaching across departments. And through his immediate outreach in this incident that had occurred with the student, some email exchange, and bringing in Seidel as well as Dr. Bill Davis, he was on it immediately, engaged with me, and actually encouraged me to share my thoughts and ideas and different experiences. And so I was the recipient of somebody really practicing the culture of care across departments with me, and then able to share my experience and be seen and heard in that way. And so it really put me in the shoes of also maybe what some of our students experience. They're afraid. They feel maybe under a rock and that they've never been seen or heard in this way. And how we receive them as educators and advisors has a huge impact. And that's why I got so excited with the culture of care pillars, because I come from a background in somatics and in yoga. And I love the work of Brene Brown. And as soon as I saw the culture of care, I was like, yes, I have always loved my colleagues and my job. And I feel like it's one of the healthiest work environments I've ever worked in. But when I saw that in writing, there was an even bigger internal shift that happened for me. So through this initial interaction with Bill Davis, developed an idea for a presentation. He encouraged me and was able to bring that to fruition, and learned so much from him in the process about, where we had commonalities, where he had experiences that I could learn from. I was actually a former business owner for 18 years. So we had some things in common that I hadn't anticipated. And so the message for me from my own experience was, don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to reach out. Easier said than done. But also, how can I encourage others to do the same? And what untapped talent is right here within our whole team? Whether it's faculty or administrators or student-facing advisors. And with us all sharing, and I'm going to come back to that idea I mentioned in the beginning, the shared passion that I heard so many of you talk about, reminds me of a term in yoga. It's called the community of the heart. And the word they use, it's kind of a funny word, and I think it could be super fun, is Kula, K-U-L-A. And so what I really feel like is we have this shared passion or community of the heart around our students' interest, and that allows us all to practice this culture of care with each other and see each other's own diverse experiences as a launch pad for continuously improving what we do, and not just turning it outwardly on our students, but towards each other. So I'm very excited to be here, and like I have so many ideas popping into my head after this panel that I'm like, I'm going to follow up with this person on this and this and this one and what they said, and that's how it goes and how we grow. Thank you.
Laurel, thank you so much. I'm going to start screaming, shed the silo. I love that component, and you really spoke to that shared passion and shared goals. And that leads me to Stephanie, from your perspective, from Director of Student Success, shared goals, shared passions. What is your advice on how we can become more involved in this interdepartmental collegiality through the culture of care?
Oh, thank you so much, Jessie. First of all, Laurel, community of the heart. Oh, that got me. I jotted that one down. I'm going to need that on a coffee mug, I think. But what more can I add to the powerful statements by my colleagues? But of course, if you know me, you know that I will try. And so just so thankful to be here. In my role as Director of Student Success, I am focused day in and day out on how we can make the most exceptional experience for our students so they're set up to be successful. And in doing so, I have the opportunity to have a network that's really made up of every single person here. Everybody on the screen, everybody in the audience, everybody who couldn't attend. Whether I know you personally or not, what you do contributes to student success. Whether you're on the phones, in the classroom, and behind the scenes, every person is integral here. And so for me, building a team, collegiality, that is key to it all. So first, I just want to say thank you, because where I am today is because of all the people around me who lifted me, who helped me learn, who motivated me, believed in me when maybe I didn't believe in myself. And that comes through action and intent, and really just making sure that we're always making an effort. So, okay, I'll get back to the question. You're asking about action, and that's my favorite thing to talk about. So just a couple thoughts. If you don't know where to start, lean into CARES. Whether this is new to you or you've been practicing this for years, the pillars have something for everybody, and I would guess that there's at least one, two, maybe more of the pillars that really speak to you. So lean into the one that's your strength. How do you really exemplify that? How do you use that to then build and push out of your comfort zone? Seek common goals. This was brought up earlier. Often I think of a quote that was originally attributed as an African proverb, but we've heard many leaders share it. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. This is how we show care for ourselves and for each other. When we seek common goals, we're bringing people into our fold, and that's going to help us go further. But not only that, that helps us to share resources, to share knowledge, to share experience. We all are very mindful of our own bandwidth and being stretched for time and not being able to do everything in a day. But the great news is we don't have to. Find people with common goals and then set your plan off of that. And that's truly showing care. The other thing that I'll say is communicate openly. Don't have walls up. Be willing to establish trust by showing that you trust others. Share information, share experiences, and promote understanding. Give people the opportunity to learn about you, about how you work, about what's important to you. I also want to mention recognition. Encourage recognition. What a great way to build collegiality. How many times a day does somebody make you smile? How often do you think, wow, I'm really glad this person did that, said that? Now think about how many times you tell them that you're thankful for that. So I'm not talking about the broad, specific thank you for the thing that you probably were supposed to do. While that's important, what I'm talking about is how there is no act so small that it's not worthy of sincere gratitude. So take the time to show people that you recognize their contributions and that you appreciate them for who they are and not just what they did. And finally, what I'll say is to stay involved and stay committed. It is a long road. We are in this together, but there are highs, there are lows, and that's okay. That's a part of the journey. I was able to attend a session yesterday with Dr. Lozano and Dr. Simmons, and a portion of it was about our spark. What happens when we lose our spark? And what I'd encourage you to do is to use this to get your spark back. Surround yourself with people who believe in what you believe. Listen to their experiences. Get involved with something that you care about, and invite somebody else to come with you. That's how you really build that network and you bring people along for the ride. So I'll just close. I know I'm over. I'll close just by saying this. If you're passive participants in our culture, then you're not doing your part. We need to be actively engaged. We need to seek opportunities to grow ourselves, to grow our culture, to push ourselves beyond our limits, beyond our comfort zone. And when you have the larger team beside you, then there's no limits to what we can achieve. Thanks, Jesse.
Stephanie, I love it. The leaning actively into cares when you don't know what to do. I mean, that's something we can't forget, right? It's there. It's an easy way to pause and just reset. Just everything that you shared and all of the panelists have shared here, just phenomenal, actionable ways, and just, the tip of the iceberg for all the people in the room. And as Stephanie mentioned, all the people who aren't in the room, weren't able to be in the room today for various reasons. Everyone has some insight to share on this and advice. So continue those experiences and the sharing of ideas of advice. We have just a few minutes left, about 4 minutes. Would love to open this up to any questions or final thoughts that any of our panelists or hosts might have at this point in time related to what was said. And I can actually take this down again just so that we can take a look at faces. Any final thoughts? I know, Bill, you said you had one one thought as everyone was speaking as well, bringing in a former colleague.
Well, I'll tell you what, I jotted a few thoughts down here. I'm one of these folks that needs an acronym to drive forward. I'm just a composite of what I've learned through the years, whether that was at Pepsi or here. And I'm just going to give you a couple tidbits and close with one that was some great advice from a really good friend and colleague of mine. But first of all, I want to just remind everybody what Ingrid Newey, who ran PepsiCo for years, she said, always assume positive intent. So if somebody does come to you, as Stephanie mentioned, don't assume it's necessarily bad. They just might want to open up some conversation. So be flexible, adaptable, but assume positive intent. And then also in business, we used to say equal business standing. So if I was calling on an account, we would try to find that middle, right? And it's the same thing in academia, because we all have something we're responsible for. So be respectful, show mutual respect. And now I'd be remiss if I didn't say Dr. Jim Jeremiah, Dr. Liz Tice, some of the advice I got early on, always provide students with a meaningful and gratifying learning experience. And remember, develop a unified front. So we're all together, because that's what the students see. And that goes back to Christie's slogan. She invented that, by the way, one team better together. And that theme has driven me. So, and the Culture of Care acronym will drive me. So here's what I wanted to leave you with. Dr. Marty McAuliffe told me this years ago. Became friends with him. We were unified, right? As lead faculty, one of Liz's programs. And one of the things that he always told me, pretty simple, he'd say, stay engaged, it's essential. I always had that in my mind. Stay engaged, stay engaged, stay engaged. And Dr. Hooker Dana, who was one of my mentors responsible for me being here today, opened the door. The rest is history. Here I am, good or bad. I've done some good things. The bottom line, it's all about the students, but what she always used to tell me, and I'll end with this, William, be good, be brief, and be gone. So I'm out of this. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, everyone. I'm just going to pop our references up here because we have librarians in the room and we want to make sure and capture those in the recording. If there aren't
Thanks for the shout out. That's perfect. I love it. I love it.
We want to capture that on the recording. We thank you all for your time today and all of the amazing comments in the chat. I saved that so that I can continue to grow and we can continue to make these connections. Thank you again to Liz and Colin. We'll go ahead and send it back to you.
Thanks, Jesse. Wow, that was an incredible session. Thank you so much to all of you. I think we all got a lot out of that. And that concludes our presentation this morning. The next session starts in about 5 minutes, and the links to those sessions have been posted in the chat so that you can get there more quickly. So on behalf of the university and the Department of Behavioral Sciences, we really appreciate your attendance here and wish you a great rest of the day. So we'll see you in the next session. Take care, everybody.